"Don't sign anything," she whispered, sliding a folder across the desk. "Give me 10 minutes. Please." I stared at the young woman who'd just walked into the conference room. She wore a charcoal suit, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, and she looked terrified. Behind me, my son Richard cleared his throat, that same impatient sound he'd been making all morning. "Who are you?" I asked, my hand frozen over the pen Mr. Harrison, Richard's lawyer, had just handed me. "I'm Lisa Chen from the Ethics Board," she said quickly. "Mrs. Patterson, I need to speak with you privately before you sign anything." "Mother, this is ridiculous." Richard stood up, his 6-foot frame suddenly feeling oppressive in the small room. "Mr. Harrison, who authorized this woman to interrupt our meeting." Mr. Harrison looked just as confused as I felt. "I didn't call anyone from ethics." "Miss Chen, do you have identification?" She pulled out a badge, but her hands were shaking. "Mrs. Patterson, please. 10 minutes is all I ask." In the hallway, something in her eyes stopped me. Fear? Yes. But also something else. Desperation? No. It was recognition. Like she knew me. Really knew me. "Richard, give me a moment," I said, pushing back from the conference table. "Mother! No! We're so close to finishing this. The papers are ready. You said you wanted this. You said you were tired of managing the house, the investments, everything." He was right. I had said that. 3 months ago, after I'd forgotten to pay the property taxes and nearly lost the house I'd shared with my late husband for 40 years. Richard had been so patient, so understanding. "Mom, let me help you. Sign everything over to me. I'll take care of it. You won't have to worry about a thing." And I'd been grateful. So grateful. But now this young woman was looking at me like my life depended on following her into that hallway. 10 minutes, I repeated, standing up. My knees ached. They always did these days. "Mother!" Richard's voice was sharp now. He grabbed my arm, and I felt Lisa Chen tense beside me. "Let go of your mother," Lisa said quietly, but there was steel in her voice. Richard released me immediately, laughing nervously. "Of course. Sorry, Mom. We've been planning this for months. It's a big day. I'm excited to finally be able to take care of you properly." The way he said properly made my skin crawl. When had my son started making me feel this way? I followed Lisa into the hallway. She walked quickly, her heels clicking on the marble floor until we were far from the conference room. Then she turned to face me, and I saw tears in her eyes. "Mrs. Patterson, your son is about to steal everything from you." "That's absurd. Richard is helping me. I'm 65 years old, and I can barely remember what day it is half the time. He's been wonderful since his father died 2 years ago." "Has he?" Lisa opened the folder she'd been carrying. "Mrs. Patterson, your husband left you $7 million in assets. The house, the retirement accounts, the life insurance, the stocks. Do you know what you're signing in there? Papers to transfer everything to Richard's name. He explained it's for estate planning, to avoid probate when I pass." "That's partially true, but look at this." She showed me the first document. "This isn't a trust. This is a complete transfer of ownership. The moment you sign, you own nothing. Richard owns everything. He's my son. Why would that matter?" Lisa flipped to another page. "Because 3 weeks after you sign, you're scheduled to be admitted to Riverside Memory Care Facility." My blood ran cold. "What?" "Richard already paid the deposit. 6 months in advance. Look," she showed me a printout of an email. "From Richard's email address to Riverside, dated last month. Thank you for accepting my mother Dorothy Patterson as a resident. She's been struggling with severe memory issues and can no longer care for herself. I've attached the medical evaluation from Dr. Chen confirming her diagnosis of early onset dementia." I grabbed the paper, my hands shaking. I don't have dementia. I forget things sometimes, but I don't. I saw Dr. Morrison last month for my annual checkup. He said I was fine. "Dr. Morrison?" Lisa pulled out another document. "You mean the doctor whose office Richard drove you to?" "Mrs. Patterson, that wasn't Dr. Morrison's office. That was a clinic in Newark run by a Dr. William Chen. He was suspended from practice last year for falsifying medical records. He's Richard's friend from college." The hallway started spinning. I reached for the wall to steady myself. "Breathe," Lisa said gently, gripping my elbow. I know this is a lot. Why are you telling me this? Who are you really? She hesitated, and I saw her mask crack just slightly. Right now, I'm someone trying to stop your son from committing elder abuse, but Mrs. Patterson, we don't have much time. He's going to come looking for you soon. How did you even know about this meeting? I've been tracking Richard for 3 months, after I saw the probate records from your husband's estate and started noticing the patterns. The changed will, the new power of attorney documents, the medical evaluations. It's a common scheme. Children convince elderly parents they're incompetent, get them declared mentally unfit, transfer all assets, and commit them to care facilities. The parent has no legal recourse because they've been declared incompetent. But I'm not incompetent. I know, but once you sign those papers in there, you won't be able to prove it. Richard has 3 doctors ready to testify that you have advanced dementia. He has 6 months of documentation showing your declining mental state. Notes about you forgetting conversations that never happened, missing appointments you never made, confusion about events that never occurred. This can't be real. Richard is my son. He loves me. Lisa's expression hardened. Mrs. Patterson, how much time have you spent with Richard in the last year? I opened my mouth and realized I couldn't answer. He's busy. He has his business, his wife, the kids. He's divorced. 3 years ago. What? No, I met Catherine at Christmas. She made that wonderful roast. You met Richard's girlfriend, Amy. She's an actress he hired to pretend to be Catherine. The real Catherine left him when she found out he was embezzling from his company. She took the kids. The kids. My grandchildren. Emma and Jake. I send them birthday cards. Emma's 13 now. Jake's 11. Lisa's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Mrs. Patterson, Emma, and Jake don't exist. Richard never had children with Catherine. He showed you photos of his business partner's kids. I couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. This couldn't be happening. Richard was my son, my only child. After his father died, he'd been there. He'd held my hand at the funeral. He'd helped me sort through papers. He'd driven me to appointments. He'd called every Sunday. Or had he? I don't believe you, I said, but my voice was weak. Then let me show you one more thing. Lisa pulled out her phone and showed me a recording. Security footage from outside my house, 3 weeks ago, based on the date stamp. In the video, I watched myself leave the house with Richard. I was carrying a small suitcase. Richard was talking, gesturing animatedly. I was nodding, smiling. We got in his car and drove away. This is the day Richard told you he was taking you to the Cape for a long weekend. Do you remember that trip? I tried to remember. The Cape, the beach house, the sound of waves. Yes, I said slowly. We had clam chowder, watched the sunset. Mrs. Patterson, you never went to the Cape. Richard drove you to a facility in Rhode Island. It was a test run. He wanted to see how compliant you'd be, how easily he could move you. You spent 3 days in a memory care unit. They told you it was a beach resort. You believed them because Richard mixed sedatives into your meals. No, I remember the beach, the sand, the seagulls. The facility has a courtyard with a sandbox and plays nature sounds. Mrs. Patterson, I have the facility records. You were patient, number 7,743. They called you Dorothy. You told them multiple times you wanted to go home, and they told you you'd go home soon. On day 3, Richard picked you up, drove you home, and told you what a wonderful vacation you'd had. By the next day, with the sedatives wearing off, you believed the false memories he'd planted. I sank against the wall, my legs giving out. Lisa caught me, helped me sit on the floor. Why? I whispered. Why would he do this? $7 million. And revenge. Revenge? Mrs. Patterson, do you remember why your husband changed his will 2 months before he died? I did remember that. Charles had been so insistent. He'd called Richard to the hospital, told him he was disappointed, that Richard had made terrible choices, that he was cutting Richard's inheritance. Charles was angry about something. I never knew what. He wouldn't tell me. He just said Richard needed to learn to stand on his own 2 feet. Your husband found out Richard had been stealing from his own company, embezzling money, falsifying reports. Charles told Richard he'd report him to the authorities unless Richard resigned and sought help. Instead, Richard blamed your husband for ruining his life. He swore he'd get what was owed to him. The conference room door opened. Richard's voice echoed down the hallway. "Mother? Where are you?" Lisa gripped my hands. "Mrs. Patterson, you have to decide right now. Either go back in there and sign those papers, or trust me and walk out that door." "But where would I go? Everything I have is because of Richard. He pays my bills. He manages my accounts. He controls everything." "Yes, that's the point. But Mrs. Patterson, I've been building a case for 3 months. I have evidence of forgery, fraud, conspiracy to commit elder abuse. I have recordings of Richard discussing his plans with Dr. Chen. I have bank records showing the payments to the fake vacation facility. If you trust me, if you walk away right now, I can protect you." "Mother!" Richard's voice was closer now. "But who are you?" I asked again, looking into her eyes. "Why do you care so much?" She hesitated, and I saw her struggle with something, because 22 years ago, Richard Patterson got my mother pregnant. When she told him, he denied it, said she was lying, trying to trap him. He was engaged to Catherine by then, planning his perfect life. He threatened my mother, told her if she ever contacted him again, he'd destroy her. So she raised me alone. She worked 3 jobs to put me through school. She died 5 years ago, never having received a penny of support from him. The world stopped. I'm Lisa Chen. My mother was Jennifer Chen. And you, Dorothy Patterson, are my grandmother." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. 22 years ago, Richard would have been 18. In college. He came home that Christmas with Catherine. They were so happy, so in love. They got married the next summer. "Richard has a daughter," I whispered. "I have a granddaughter. Had a granddaughter who grew up without a father. Had a granddaughter who watched her mother work herself to death. Had a granddaughter who only learned about you when she started digging into Richard's past 3 months ago, trying to figure out if she wanted to confront him or let it go. Then I saw what he was planning to do to you, and I knew I couldn't let him." "Lisa," I breathed. "Your name is Lisa. My mother named me after her grandmother. Elizabeth. She went by Lisa. My mother's name was Elizabeth. We called her Lisa." Tears streamed down both our faces. 22 years. My granddaughter had been alive for 22 years, and I never knew. "Mother!" Richard was running now. I heard his footsteps. "We have to go," Lisa said urgently. "Right now. There's a back exit. I have a car waiting. We go to the police station, file a restraining order, freeze your accounts, but we have to go now." I looked down the hallway where my son was coming. My son who I'd raised, who I'd loved, who I'd trusted. My son who was planning to lock me away and steal everything. Then I looked at Lisa, my granddaughter, the child I never knew existed, the woman who'd spent 3 months building a case to save me when she had every reason to hate my family. "Let's go," I said. We ran. Well, Lisa ran. I moved as fast as my 65-year-old knees would carry me, and she held my arm, supporting me. We burst through the back exit into a parking garage, and there was a silver Honda waiting, engine running. "Get in!" Lisa shouted. I dove into the passenger seat, and Lisa jumped behind the wheel. We peeled out just as I saw Richard burst through the exit door behind us. His face was twisted with rage. He was screaming something, but I couldn't hear it over the engine. Lisa drove like a woman possessed, weaving through traffic, taking turns so fast I had to grip the door handle. "Are you okay?" she kept asking. "Mrs. Patterson, are you okay?" "Call me Dorothy," I managed. Or Grandma, if you want." She let out a sob, quickly wiping her eyes. "Grandma, okay. Grandma, we're going to the police station. I have a detective waiting for us. Detective Martinez. She specializes in elder abuse cases. She's been helping me build the case against Richard." "You've been planning this for 3 months?" "From the moment I realized what he was doing. I couldn't let him hurt you. You're my grandmother, the only family I have left." We pulled up to the police station, and Detective Martinez was waiting outside. She was a stern-looking woman in her 40s, and she took one look at us and immediately understood the situation. "Mrs. Patterson? I'm Detective Sarah Martinez. You're safe now. Come inside." The next few hours were a blur. Statements, documents, evidence. Lisa had everything. Recordings of Richard discussing his plans with Dr. Chen, bank statements showing the payments, forged medical records, testimony from staff at the Rhode Island facility who'd grown suspicious, text messages between Richard and the fake lawyer about timing the signing. "This is one of the most elaborate elder abuse schemes I've seen," Detective Martinez said. "Your son was very thorough. If Miss Chen hadn't intervened, you would have signed those papers, been declared incompetent within a week, and been in Riverside by next month. Can we stop him?" I asked. "We already have." "As soon as Miss Chen called me this morning, I started the process. We've frozen your accounts, filed an emergency restraining order, and issued a warrant for Richard's arrest for fraud, forgery, and conspiracy to commit elder abuse. Officers are picking him up now." "What about Dr. Chen?" "Already in custody. We got him this morning before your meeting." I looked at Lisa, sitting beside me in the police station, and I started to cry. Really cry. Not the polite tears I'd shed at my husband's funeral. Not the frustrated tears when I couldn't remember where I'd put my keys. Deep, gut-wrenching sobs. "I'm sorry," I gasped. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know Richard had a daughter. I didn't know about your mother. If I'd known—" "Shh," Lisa said, pulling me into her arms. "It's not your fault. Richard is very good at hiding things, very good at manipulating people. You didn't know because he made sure you didn't know. Your mother." "Jennifer, what was she like?" Lisa smiled through her tears. "She was wonderful, tough, stubborn. She never complained, never felt sorry for herself. She just worked and worked to give me a good life. She put me through law school. She was so proud when I passed the bar. She died 6 months later. Heart attack. She was only 43. She was too young. The doctors said stress, working 3 jobs for 20 years destroyed her heart. And Richard never helped. Richard never acknowledged my existence. When I tried to contact him 5 years ago, after Mom died, he threatened me with a restraining order, said I was a con artist trying to extort him, so I let it go. Until 3 months ago, when I saw his name on a probate filing, I was curious. I looked into him, found out his father had died, left everything to his widow. Then I saw the suspicious activity, the changed documents, the medical evaluations, the nursing home deposits, and I realized he was going to do to you what his neglect had done to my mother. But you saved me. We saved each other," Lisa said softly. "I needed to know I had family. I needed to know I came from something good. And you needed someone to care about you for real, not just pretend to care while planning to steal from you." Detective Martinez cleared her throat. "Mrs. Patterson, we need to discuss your living situation. Your house is safe. We've changed the locks, and Richard can't go near it. But you might not want to stay there alone." "I don't," I said immediately. Then I looked at Lisa. Would you want to stay with me, just for a little while, until we figure things out?" Lisa's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure. I have a guest room. Well, 3 guest rooms. It's a big house, too big for one person, and I'd like to get to know my granddaughter." "I'd like that," Lisa whispered. "I'd like that very much." The next few weeks were chaos. Richard was arrested and charged with 14 counts of fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. Dr. Chen turned state's evidence in exchange for a lighter sentence. The fake vacation facility in Rhode Island was shut down. 6 other elderly people were found in similar situations, their families using the facility to test moving them into care. But through all of it, Lisa was there. She moved into my house. We stayed up late talking about her mother, about her childhood, about the life she'd built. I learned she was a brilliant lawyer, specializing in elder law. She'd become an advocate for seniors after watching her mother die too young. "I wanted to prevent what happened to my mom," she explained one night over tea. "I wanted to stop people like Richard from destroying families." "You did stop him," I said. "You saved me." "You saved me too," she replied. "I've been angry for so long. Angry at Richard. Angry at my father for abandoning us. Angry at the world for being unfair. But getting to know you, having family again, it's healing something in me." Richard's trial was set for 6 months later. His lawyer tried to argue that I was incompetent, that Lisa had manipulated me, but Dr. Morrison testified that I was of sound mind. Detective Martinez presented the overwhelming evidence. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Richard was sentenced to 8 years in prison. As they led him away, he looked at me one last time. "Mom, I'm your son. How can you do this to me?" I stood up, Lisa's hand in mine. "You stopped being my son the moment you decided to steal from me. But she?" I squeezed Lisa's hand. "She's my granddaughter, my family, and family doesn't lock each other away." Afterward, Lisa and I went home. My home. Our home now. She'd officially moved in, turned my largest guest room into a home office. We had dinner together every night. She told me stories about her mother. I told her stories about my parents, about Charles, about the family history she'd never known. "I found something in the attic," I told her one evening, in an old box of Charles's things. I handed her a photograph. It was faded, yellowed with age, a young woman holding a baby. The woman looked exhausted but happy. "That's your mother," I said. "And that's you." Lisa stared at the photo, tears streaming down her face. "How?" "I found it in Charles's desk. He knew. About Richard's daughter. He hired a private investigator when Richard came home that Christmas, acting strange. The investigator found your mother. Found you. Charles wanted to help, but Richard threatened him. Said if Charles contacted Jennifer, he'd destroy the family name, claim Charles had harassed an innocent woman. So Charles kept the photo, kept tabs on you from a distance. He knew when you started law school. He's the one who anonymously paid your tuition." "What?" "There's a paper trail. I found it. Charles set up a scholarship fund specifically for students from single-parent households studying law. You were the first recipient. He made sure you got through school. Grandpa knew about me. He knew. And he loved you. He just couldn't figure out how to reach you without making things worse. But he made sure you'd be okay. And 3 months before he died, he cut Richard out of the will because he found out about the embezzling. He wanted to make sure I had resources to help you if you ever found us." "Did he know Richard would try this?" "I think he suspected. There's a letter. He wrote it to me, but he never sent it. I found it in his desk. It says, 'Dorothy, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm worried about Richard. Please be careful. Please protect yourself. And if my granddaughter ever finds you, take care of her. She's the good that came from our son's mistakes.'" We cried together, holding each other, mourning the man who'd known about Lisa but could never acknowledge her, mourning the years we'd lost, but also celebrating the years we'd found. "Grandma?" Lisa said later that night. "Yes, sweetheart? Thank you for believing me. In that hallway, you could have gone back to Richard. You could have thought I was crazy, or a con artist, or anything, but you believed me. I believed you because you were telling the truth, and because—" I paused, choosing my words carefully. "Because when I looked at you, I saw someone who loved me, really loved me, not someone who saw me as a burden or a bank account. You risked everything to save me. That's what family does. That's what family does," Lisa repeated softly. Now, 6 months later, we're still together. Lisa's practice is thriving. She works from home 2 days a week, and we have lunch together. We've joined a book club. We volunteer at a senior center, helping other elderly people understand their legal rights. We've helped 5 families avoid situations like mine. And every Sunday, we visit Charles's grave. We bring flowers. Lisa talks to him, tells him about her week, about the cases she's working on, about how grateful she is for the education he provided. I hold her hand and thank him for loving our granddaughter even when he couldn't claim her. Last week, Lisa told me she's been dating someone, a teacher named Michael. "I want you to meet him," she said nervously. "If that's okay, I'd love to meet him," I said. "Invite him for dinner." "Really? You're sure?" "Lisa, you're my family. Of course I want to meet the man who makes you happy." She hugged me, and I felt her relief. She'd been so worried about imposing, about taking up too much space in my life. But she doesn't understand yet. She saved my life. She gave me a reason to keep living. She gave me family. Tonight we're having that dinner. I've made pot roast, Lisa's favorite. She's setting the table, humming to herself. She does that now, hums. She didn't when we first met. She was too tense, too focused. But she's relaxed now, happy. The doorbell rings, and she rushes to answer it. I hear voices, laughter. Then she brings Michael into the kitchen. He's tall, kind-eyed, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Mrs. Patterson," he says warmly, "Lisa's told me so much about you." "Call me Dorothy," I say, shaking his hand. "Or Grandma, if you stick around long enough." He laughs, and I see the way he looks at Lisa, the way she looks back at him, and I think about how close I came to losing all of this, to signing those papers, to being locked away in Riverside, to never knowing my granddaughter existed. "Don't sign anything," she'd whispered. "Give me 10 minutes. 10 minutes that changed everything." We sit down to dinner, the three of us, and Lisa raises her glass. "To family," she says. "The one we choose." "To family," I repeat, meeting her eyes. "The one we choose." And as we eat and laugh and tell stories, I realize this is what Charles wanted for me. This is what he was trying to protect when he cut Richard out of the will. Not the money, not the house, but this. Family. Real family. The kind that shows up when you need them. The kind that risks everything to save you. The kind that gives you 10 minutes that changes your life forever. "Grandma?" Lisa says later, as we're clearing the dishes. "I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart," I say, pulling her into a hug. "Thank you for finding me. Thank you for believing me," she whispers back. And I realize we both found exactly what we needed. She found a grandmother. I found a granddaughter. But more than that, we found hope. Proof that even when people try to destroy you, there's always someone willing to save you. Someone who sees your worth. Someone who chooses you. That's what family really is. Not blood. Not obligation. But choice. And every day, I choose Lisa. And she chooses me. And that, more than any amount of money in the world, is the greatest inheritance I could ever receive.